SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Whether you're looking to start a career with no student loans or change careers to land one of the happiest jobs in the world, yep, that's construction, Build Mississippi can help. Visit buildmississippi.com to learn why a career in the trades deserves another look. Buildmississippi.com. Your future is waiting.
This is Gerard Gibert, and thank you for listening to MidDays here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
MidDays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. MidDays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Midday SuperTalk Mississippi. I'm your host, Gerard Gibert, and I'm down here in Jones County, Mississippi, specifically in Ellisville, Mississippi, for the Jones County Economic Development Authority. We're down here promoting economic growth in the county of Jones, the free state of Jones. Rhino, safe and sound, back in SuperTalk headquarters studios. We'll be guiding you through the middle of your day with facts, fodder, and fine music on this
Hump Day.
A bit of a wet one last night. Man, that was a gully washer, Rhino. That was just about 3 or 4 hours of a wall of water that moved through the Magnolia State. Any data on the amount of precipitation we received? It was predicted to be anywhere from 2 to 6 inches.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything as far as the actual downpour amount, but I have been watching the power outages. And like we were saying, Southwest Mississippi was the one that was really under the gun yesterday, and they're still the ones that are suffering the most from power outages. You've got about half of the total tracked households in Wilkinson County are without power at the moment. Amite County, you got about 1,600 homes without power. Adams County,
wow,
about 1,500 homes without power. Franklin and Jefferson County both have over 600 homes without power. Pike County's got 1,000 without power. Walthall's got 800 without power. Copiah's got 800 without power. So yeah, there's a lot of power outages. There are a couple in the Delta with some power outages. Like Quitman's got about a third of theirs are out. But, yeah,
wow,
thankfully I haven't seen any reports of any major injuries or casualties.
Well, what would be the cause of the power outages, you think? Because we didn't really have any severe storms. You think it was lightning strikes? I mean, I know we had a whole bunch of rain, but might that affect the power?
Yeah, lightning strikes can cause power outages. When you have that much rain in that short a period of time, you can have some trees that were already kind of leaning. They go ahead and give up the ghost and fall on a power line, and all kind of different things can happen when you got that much energy in the atmosphere.
Well, I always notice anytime we get heavy rains like that, for those of us who have Mississippi pine trees on our property, they tend to shed some of the weaker limbs, of course. I think just the water and the rain itself just pounding on them, especially those that are covered in fungus that have a little extra weight on them, are already kind of stressed. But also need to go ahead and pass on to you the list of sponsors for today's remote in Ellisville, Mississippi. Howard Industries, Johnny Wright Auctions, South Central Regional Medical Center, Pine Belt Land Title, Bachoma Casino, Endem Trailer, Jones College, Health Markets Insurance, Tricia Eubanks, Adelia Metz, and the Jones County Board of Supervisors. Now, a couple of things that are going into effect today, or one big thing at least, is the Real ID. That is today. That would be required, a Real ID for domestic air travel, beginning today through the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Homeland Security is providing some temporary reprieve, a bit of a temporary exemption. There's just a lot of pressure on states. Now, this is something, when did we get started on this, Rhino? A long time ago. The act.
Years ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because this was an act that was put into law in 2005. I don't remember what the heck the acronym stands for, but Real ID, the word real is in all caps, actually stands for something. Everybody in the United States, as of the passing of that legislation, required new forms to carry new forms of government-issued photo identification to board a domestic flight or enter a federal facility. And a lot of Americans had to change their IDs. Now, most of us who have renewed our driver's licenses in the state of Mississippi already have Real ID. I checked mine. I've had it for quite some time. And I think that Mississippi was wise in implementing that and getting ahead of it and not delaying and procrastinating, although many states have. And you're seeing, right, photos of lines of Americans in the various states. I'm looking at one right now in Illinois. And they're outside of a facility with a big sign in the window that says Real ID Super Center. And it's just a line down the street. This may even be in Chicago. This is obviously a populated area. You can tell it's a downtown scene, an urban scene, if you will. So this Real ID Super Center is near a Secretary of State's office in Chicago. Yeah, I just saw that. This was a photo that was taken not so long ago. So the bottom line is you can still fly if you don't have a Real ID. There are, I guess, some exceptions. You do need some additional documents. You've got to have a proof of lawful status in the United States beyond those regularly provided when obtaining a driver's license. So you got to prove you're who you are when you get ready to board an airplane. And if you've got an old photo ID driver's license that doesn't have the Real ID hologram type star on it, you got problems as of today.
From what I understand, the current process, if you show up to fly without a Real ID, is instead of going through the normal process you're aware of, you now get taken out of the process to go into either a room or sit at a table while you provide someone all the documentation that you are who you say you are. Or if you're at one of the locations where they've got an ID or place set up right next door to help you out, like we've had several reports of literally setting up a new driver's license station right next door to the airport in preparation for this. But, yeah, the workaround is basically, all right, we take you out of the line, we make sure everything, all right, put you back in line.
Yeah, and in fact, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem testified to the U.S. House not too long ago and said, quote, what will happen, actually, it was yesterday, what will happen tomorrow is folks will come through the line. If their ID is not compliant, they may be diverted, as you said, Rhino, to a different line and have an extra step. But people will be allowed to fly. That's what she told the U.S. House Representatives Appropriations Subcommittee on Homeland Security during an oversight hearing. So that seems like it would also delay those that have a Real ID. Doesn't it feel that way? You show up and there you are with your ID and it's non-compliant. Okay, you got to go over into this line. It feels like there'll be some delays associated with that. So hopefully folks get busy. And so kudos again to the state of Mississippi for addressing this issue early on, so that I think the vast majority of us already have driver's licenses with the Real ID star, the gold star up on the right corner, indicating that you're fully compliant with the Real ID. So most folks, I'd suggest you pull your license out today. If you don't intend to fly or enter any federal facilities, you won't need it. But in case you do plan to travel, engage in air travel, you need to check that out. The other news of the day of something that's going away is Skype. Skype. That would be the video calling pioneer.
I thought it died Monday.
Well, it was actually died on Monday, but it's still kind of out there, and they're sort of calling today. I don't know. It's not clear what I'm seeing, but it's happening now, I guess, is the bottom line. Microsoft, the parent company, is discontinuing it. They're trying to move everybody over to their Teams platform. I remember when this was introduced. Now, Microsoft acquired this company. They didn't create this technology. They acquired this company. But they decided that it kind of conflicts with their platform, their Teams platform, which is just a web conferencing platform, a solution that also competes with Zoom and WebEx and GoToMeeting. I'm not sure there are any others besides that at this point. We're stepping aside for a break. We're down in Ellisville, Mississippi today for the Jones County Economic Development Authority. Coming up next, Dr. B.R. Jones, a superintendent of Jones County School District.
Anytime she goes away.
Well, we ran up here.
This segment of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Gerard Gibert. He keeps his classified documents right where they belong. Inside a Journey record jacket from the 1980s. Gerard Gibert. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Jones County. We're in Ellisville, Mississippi at Wally Properties. We're promoting economic development here in Jones County. I actually looked it up, Rhino. First, you were right. The Skype ended a couple of days ago. But Real ID, I thought the word real in all caps actually was an acronym for something. Turns out it's not. In doing some research on that over the break, they just capitalize it. So, but you know how those wily government people are, these legislators, when they create the names for these various measures, they always like to use acronyms for some sort of fancy meeting. But we're pleased to welcome now Dr. B.R. Jones, Superintendent of the Jones County School District. Dr. Jones, thanks for coming on.
Sure thing. Good morning. Good morning.
All right, give us an update. What's going on here in the Jones County School District?
Great things. Great things. Achievement has been through the roof the last couple of years. We're very excited about that. We're getting some preliminary data on our achievement for next year. We're setting records there as well with our third grade reading data. So we're very, very excited. Lots of good things going on in Jones County.
So the governor certainly has been boasting quite a bit, and well, he should, because we've received national attention. The Mississippi Miracle, as it is known for, dramatic improvement in our scores in this third grade reading gate, in math as well. What do you attribute that to?
Hard work.
Okay.
Teachers digging in, students digging in, parental support. We're very blessed with that here in Jones County. Our parents really turn out for our schools, and it shows. It does.
Yeah. Well, the governor likes to say it was conservative policies that were a key factor in improving our test scores and just the quality of education in general. And he often references, Dr. Jones, just sort of some common sense approaches to teaching the subject matter and maybe returning to the old days, using phonics, for example, to teach English and communications.
We focus on the basics. We talk about the 4 R's. In Jones County School District. Of course, reading, writing, arithmetic, but also we add to that recess, which includes all of our arts and activities and sports and those types of things that really, turns out kids don't come to school to go to English. They love to be involved in the show choir or the band and those other activities. So we focus on the basics here, and we feel like our teachers are doing a better job every year of doing that, and we're providing training and resources and those types of things to help promote that.
Plus, kids need a rounded education as well.
They do.
They need some balance in that. It can't all just be heads down in the books, subject matter, the sort of stuff that can be a bit of drudgery. But if they got something to sort of look forward to, such as arts or recess or outside activities, they tend to be a little more motivated.
They do, and that's where they learn teamwork. There was a report done many years ago back in the 80s about why people lost their jobs. And in many cases, it wasn't because they didn't have the knowledge or the skill to do the job. It was because they couldn't work together with other people as a team. And so that's one of the things that we feel like those activities teach our kids, is teamwork, perseverance. What you're going to get knocked down. Yeah. So what do? It's all up to the way you approach it and the way you react to it.
How many schools in the district?
We have 9 schools, our traditional schools. We have 6 elementary schools, 3 high schools. We have a vocational center, and we have an alternative education center. So we have 11 total locations in our school district.
And what's the total enrollment?
We average between 8,500 and 8,700 students. We're the 8th largest school district in the state of Mississippi. And so we serve quite a few students across Jones County.
Now, are you on a year-round attendance basis, or what's your schedule?
Well, we use that terminology year-round. Actually, all schools are required for students to be in instruction for 180 days.
Okay.
Some just spread that out with additional breaks throughout, the calendar. We actually stuck with a more traditional calendar. We still have a summer break. Now we did add a fall break, which is a little different. Of course we have the other traditional holidays, but when we looked at and we actually surveyed our community before we decided to go that more traditional route, and it was kind of 50-50. And one of the things that I was a little concerned about was people were talking about the research. Well, there's not a person in this country that wouldn't change a schedule if they thought it was going to make students read better or write better. But it turns out it's the quality of the instruction that occurs day by day. And so the schedule and those types of things, there could be some benefits there, but we find that it's the quality of what's happening every day with the student and the teacher, in the classroom. And so we just didn't change for the sake of change.
It's interesting that your survey resulted in a 50-50, because that's kind of my gut feel, is that there's no consensus on this.
Right.
It's pretty evenly split on those that want a year-round with some breaks built into that, or those that want a more traditional schedule with a summer break.
And we've been able to modify our traditional schedule in a way that we still get some additional breaks throughout.
Yeah.
And, the fall break has been one of the biggest things we've done, because you hit school really hard those first 45 days, and having a little break there, too, as the weather starts to cool a little bit and things like that, our parents and our students both really appreciate that.
A lot of discussion this year, really across the country, but including here in Mississippi, about cell phone restrictions in the classrooms and in schools. What are your thoughts on that?
We have policies that restrict the use of cell phones in the classroom, but we also recognize that under the teacher's direction, cell phones can be of an educational use if used appropriately. You think about it, years ago, we had to go to the library to look in the encyclopedias. Now you have the world of information right in the palm of your hand. So I think it's the way you approach it. I think it's the way that you utilize it. But we still have policies that restrict the use of cell phones inside the classroom.
Yeah. How important is it? You mentioned when we first started talking about having parental involvement and how you thought that really contributed to our success in the classroom. How important is that?
It's critical. It's critical. And I think that one of the reasons why we're actually seeing a teacher shortage now could be related to that. Teachers don't feel as valued as they once did. You know, at one time, and I do this with crowds many times, I'll ask them, who's that one or two people in your life that really had a significant impact in your life? And typically it's a teacher or coach that they recall.
Sure.
And so the reasons why, because that person made them feel valued. That person made them feel like they could exceed their potential. And so I think we've lost a touch of that across the state. And so I think we've got to get that back. I think we've got to value what our teachers do each and every day. Their jobs get harder and harder. The expectations on them to be in place of a parent sometimes gets more and more, as some of the things that we see students coming from as far as struggling with parental relationships and things like that. And it's timely that we're having this discussion right now because this is Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yeah.
And so I would think that anybody out there that's listening or anybody in the legislature or anybody decision makers could look back and they could think about, that teacher had a significant impact in my life. I would not be where I am today, and I say that all the time. There's one in particular that I remember. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for her. She saw something in me when I didn't see it in myself.
Interesting. Well, there are lots of studies that show, even in the private sector, just organizational structure and management in general, that's like a top issue among employees. They want to feel valued. Mm-hmm. And if you can build a culture that does that, you'll get better output. Before we go here, the new funding formula, how is that the legislature passed last year? How's that affected you? Has it been any problem for you?
It's been a positive thing,
okay.
And I'm just hoping that they'll fund us again.
You got to get them back in there.
That's exactly right. But like I say, we're going to take what we've got and do the very best we can with it.
Sure.
We've tried to be good stewards, with our local taxpayers, and we certainly do that with the state funding that we receive as well. And our goal is to be the very best in everything that we do. We want to be excellent in academics, the arts, and athletics. And so, we try to utilize every resource we have to put our kids first and to provide them an environment where they can thrive.
Yeah. It's also important before we go here to continue to develop and grow and scale the economy in a community. That also tends to make the schools better as well, does it not?
It does. And sometimes one thing that's lost sometimes is that we are the fourth largest employer in our county.
Yeah. And
so we have an economic impact back to our county in a positive way. Any projects that we do, we try to put a priority on using local vendors and those types of things as best we can with the purchasing laws and things like that. And so we feel like we give back to the community in many different ways.
Dr. B.R. Jones, Superintendent, Jones County School District, has been our guest. Thanks for coming on.
Yes,
really
sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Folks, we're stepping aside for a break. Up next, Lynn Buckholtz, the mayor of Ellisville, Mississippi.
Covering the stories that matter most to Mississippians. Gerard Gibert. Middays with Gerard. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Everyone, it's Middays. We're in Jones County today in Ellisville, Mississippi. We thank you so much for joining us. It's our pleasure to welcome now Lynn Buckholtz, the mayor of Ellisville, Mississippi. Mayor, good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning. Good to have y'all back in Ellisville. Always welcome.
So, just driving in today, Mayor, it looks like the city is robust. It's thriving. Things are going well, huh?
We got a lot going on. A lot of new business, a lot of activity, a lot of work going on, infrastructure and stuff. I know that's aggravating, but you have to dig a lot of places up to fix it, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, I think you could say that that's the primary responsibility to a great extent of a city government is just maintaining and developing the infrastructure, right?
There's no doubt about it. And, of course, all municipalities, Ellisville, everywhere, it's, a lot of this stuff's 100 years old. It's time to fix it, and we've been working toward that goal.
Especially stuff that's underground, huh?
Underground. That's, all the infrastructure, water, sewer, that type of stuff. But it's got some age on it.
Yeah. Well, how's sales tax revenue and just revenues in general going for you?
Well, I think of course, we have a lot of great local businesses. We've had a lot of improvement, a lot of new businesses going on. Our sales tax over the years since I've been involved, we've set new records on different. Every time we get a check, a lot of people shopping local, a lot of great businesses. I mean, that's part of what it's all about. That's part of our revenue, our base. So we're glad to have them, glad to have people shopping, eating, buying in Ellisville, no question.
The involvement of the city with the Jones County Economic Development Authority, whose primary mission, of course, is to grow the economy within the county. How do you guys work with them?
Oh, there's no doubt. I think we have a great relationship with the EDA, the board up there, Ross. We have probably, in my opinion, probably one of the most premier sites left here in Ellisville in our industrial park down there, and they're every day outreaching, contacting, trying to get new growth, new business. We've had some that come in the last few years. They always looking at new investors to come, so we got a place sitting on ready for them. And I appreciate what the EDA and the Jones County Board of Supervisors and our representatives and people from Jackson, the help that they give us in promoting our tech site down there.
Well, you've got all the ingredients for a high-quality lifestyle, do you not? You got great schools, great health care. You're maintaining your infrastructure. Folks are working. Plenty of opportunity.
There's no doubt. Here in Ellisville, of course, we got interstate, state highways, railroad, and our schools. We're very fortunate to, have some of the Jones County schools located here in Ellisville. We have Jones College, which is a great asset for us. It's just a good life for people here, a good small town, but yet a lot of great people and a lot of activity going on.
This organization, Wiley Properties, I mean, they're a stalwart here in the community, are they not?
No doubt. They've been here, forever. It's just another example of some of the great businesses we have, pretty much homegrown.
Yeah. We were going through at the top of the show the list of sponsors, all of which, of course, are Jones County. Some are Ellisville-based companies. Really blessed with a lot of good business partners to be inside the county.
No question about it. I mean, that's all part of it when you have a small town like Ellisville with, as you've already mentioned, our schools, our churches, our people, the opportunities to have jobs, make a living. I think we got everything to offer.
Yeah. How do you think it's going up there in Jackson? Did you pay attention to this legislative session? Anything in particular, Mayor, that was of interest to you that might affect the city of Ellisville? Well,
I mean, naturally, we're always looking and watching any of the appropriations that they can give as far as funding. They've been good to us. Our representatives and different people, we've been able to acquire a pretty good bit of money that's went toward infrastructure. I think to this point, and during my administration, I think we're right at about $8 million that we've been able to get on some aid and some different grants and stuff. So, and it goes a long way. I mean, all of that's being spent underground. You can't see it. It doesn't go toward our blacktopping and stuff like that. But you got to fix that's under the road before you can spend the money to fix what's on top of the ground. But
do you collaborate with your reps and senators? Do you work with them?
We have a good relationship. I think we do, no doubt. They personally and on the phone. I mean, we've got a good relationship. I think that's one thing that helps build any small city. I mean, a good relationship with your Board of Supervisors. I mean, we work with the county. They've been good to us. Our schools, our Jones College, the EDA, all the different departments out there. So it takes everybody to keep the wheels turning, and they've been good to us.
Is there any sort of collaboration, Mayor, with the city governments of the other towns and cities within the county, or just those that are nearby?
Yeah, we have. Matter of fact, we got, I think, coming up this week. And I think that's pretty much statewide through the MML, Mississippi Municipal League.
Yeah.
We have what we call the Pine Belt Mayors Association.
Okay.
And a matter of fact, we have a meeting, I think, one day next week where we get together and look at different things we can do together, as far as, help one another out in thoughts and ideas. And when we reach out to, even through the MML to our legislators and different things that we support. But, we have a meeting coming up there. Have a good relationship with all of our, what we call our Pine Belt mayors.
I got you. And you got the MML conference always comes up.
Yes, so that'll
June
be coming
time
up
frame?
in June. Yes,
yeah.
sir. Mm-hmm.
On the coast again, I
On
say?
the coast, yes.
Yeah. Every time we're down there doing the show, we speak to lots of county government officials, mayors, and so forth. They indicate they receive a lot of value from that conference.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. Of course, so like me personally, I've done graduated all the courses, but I still go each year and attend the classes because, stuff changes, new stuff comes up. It gives you a lot of insight. They have some very good staff that teaches all the courses, anything you can imagine, it's available to learn. They got people that really helps. It's very valuable.
Since we've changed presidents and administrations in Washington, has that had any direct impact on the city that you've seen at this point?
No, I mean, there's a lot probably yet to come. That will be some changes. So far everything been to the good.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. It's going to take some time. Some of the plans are implemented. There may be some rough roads, but I think in the end it's going to help us.
Yeah, this administration seems pretty determined to eliminate a lot of the frivolous spending and going after a lot of these various, we call them slush funds, these grant programs and so forth that have been abused, have been misused.
There's no question about it. There's a lot of good to it. Like I mentioned earlier, we've had a lot of financial help for different grants and stuff, but I tell you, keep up with it. There's a lot. I don't know how they've got away with it.
Yeah, been ignored for a long time.
I don't think that'd be happening statewide, as far as in Mississippi, but I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, we shall see the effect it may have downstream to the states, and then how that might affect the cities and counties. Speaking of which, what about your property tax rates, your ad valorem taxes?
We have been very fortunate since I've been here in my administration. We have not raised our ad valorem tax in any shape or form. We've been pretty fortunate. We're running a balanced budget. We've paid off a lot of the loans that we inherited. Most everything we've done since I've been here. And of course, I believe that business-wise, we've paid as we went. We've been able to give all of our employees a raise the last 4 years in a row. Everything we bought last year, 2 new fire trucks, right at $1 million. New police cars, about 2 a year. But I think we've blacktopped about 15 miles of roads, which that's not all of them. We're still working on them, but we're able to do that and maintain a balanced budget and have not went up on the ad valorem or property taxes any since I've been here.
Well, that's great. That's impressive, Mayor. Honestly, you're able to give raises to your employees and also invest in the various infrastructure projects and still not require increasing taxes. I know the citizens appreciate that.
That's our goal.
It's awesome.
And, you can't never do enough. And I mean, even a shout out. All of our employees do a great job, from City Hall to the street department. But, when you get your policemen and firemen, protecting the citizens, I mean, I don't think anything's ever enough, but they deserve it, everything they get.
Appreciate you coming on, Mayor. Mayor Lynn Buckholtz, the mayor of Ellisville, Mississippi. That's where we are today. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Y'all
Appreciate
welcome
it.
anytime.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Coming up next, folks, we're down again at Wally Properties in Ellisville. We're coming up with Peyton Hodo, a corporate recruiter at Howard Industries. Stay with us.
Hey, this is Will with
Middays with Gerard.
Good for America. Good for fans of justice and truth. Good for us.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
This is what we stand for.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Ellisville, Mississippi at Wally Properties. We're here for the Jones County Economic Development Authority, promoting growing the economy here in Jones County. Speaking of which, we're pleased to welcome now Peyton Hodo, corporate recruiter, Howard Industries. Peyton, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
All right, so Howard Industries, great long-time Jones County, Mississippi company here, huh?
Yeah, been around since 1968. Pretty big staple in the community. You know, born and raised Jones County myself, so been pretty familiar with the company for a while.
Awesome. And they're into a lot of different lines of business, huh?
They do a lot, yeah. So how the company had its start was in the transformer space.
Right.
Now a national and global leader in that industry. I have a transportation company, technology.
Electrical transformers we're talking about.
Correct, yeah. Electrical distribution transformers.
The stuff you see outside on the poles.
That's it.
Yeah.
Help us get our power.
Yeah.
So pretty important business that they do.
All right, so talk about recruiting. Your role as a recruiter. What type of jobs are you recruiting for?
So I work with... We have a 3-recruiter team, and so I primarily recruit for our technology division. A lot of people are less familiar with that side of the business. Yep. We manufacture a lot of computing technology, medical carts, kiosks, things like that. So need a lot of sales reps, need a lot of engineers to be able to do those things and sell those products. So I recruit for a lot of sales reps. My counterparts recruit for just different other aspects of the company, so engineering, welders, production supervisors, and other type of corporate level positions throughout the company.
And so are you, Peyton, are you recruiting people to work here or at some of the other locations in other parts of the country?
So both.
Yeah, okay.
Right here, just speaking of just true to the economic impact that Howard has in Jones County, we have roughly 4,000 employees right here in Jones County that work on site. So from manufacturing to up to your C-suite. So we need a lot of welders, we need a lot of electricians, production supervisors, like I mentioned, engineers, and things like that. A lot of sales reps. So right here, local to Jones County, there's a lot of really great high-level paying jobs with great benefits, from sales to trade type jobs to engineering and things like that, and across the country. We have opportunities from California to New York and everywhere in between. So we do a lot of things that people may or may not be already be aware of. So
yeah. How do you extend your reach? I mean, recruiting today is so much different than it used to be. You'd run little ads in the paper that people have to go scan, know, but now we have all these wonderful tools to assist with that effort. I'm sure you guys utilize all that stuff, huh?
We do it all. I'm sure driving around Jones County, you see our billboards, and we still do newspaper ads. But beyond that, social media, we're big into that. LinkedIn, Indeed, all of our opportunities are also posted on our website. So howard.com/careers is where people can go to kind of read up on more about those opportunities, our benefits that we do have, and how to apply.
What are you seeing with respect to the overall labor market? Are you seeing it loosen up a little bit, or is it still tight? Does it still require significant effort to locate good quality people?
It's very competitive.
Sure.
And I'll say it's competitive both for companies and for the job seekers. So we have a lot to do, job security, right, as far as getting people to come work. We're heavily involved in the communities as far as having community events, just showcasing the opportunities that we do have. But, that's why we are plugged into all these different platforms just to get the word out. So very heavily competitive work environment right now.
And, of course, you've got to respond to market dynamics. We've seen lot of compensation for various jobs, especially in the technology industry, where there always has been an excess of demand over supply, and so that means that as a recruiter, you've got to be competitive with the full package.
Absolutely. From salaries to company culture to what your career looks like internally. So those are all things that I kind of pitch, and I know our hiring managers pitch to these candidates, regardless of the job within the company.
Yeah.
I know right now there's a lot of buzz around workforce development and increase in those programs and going to trade schools, so we partner with Pearl River and Jones College on their workforce schools, just so we can create a stronger pipeline, because that's a strain right now, and not just Howard, but across the industry. There are a lot of great high-paying jobs that Howard offers, and just the industry itself, that you can make a lot of money right out of high school if you go get that kind of.
And now you've got the new technology of artificial intelligence really being injected into virtually every work role.
Right, yeah.
We've all got to learn all this new technology to be adept at that. Otherwise, your competition does, and they get ahead of you. But then there are a lot of prospective employees looking to expose themselves to that as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Peyton, really appreciate you coming on. Great work there at Howard Industries. Peyton Hodo, corporate recruiter, Howard Industries. If somebody's interested in work, where can they find out more?
You can go to howard.com/careers, and you can find any of our opportunities at any of our locations posted there.
Sounds great. Folks, we're stepping aside for a break. It's top of the hour. That means Fox News, SuperTalk News. We're coming right back from Ellisville, Mississippi. Stay with us.
Hour of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. Hello? You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Ellisville, Mississippi. We're at Wally Properties. We're here to promote economic development in Jones County. In fact, we'll hear from folks from the Jones County Board of Supervisors later on in the program. Of course, Jamie Wally, Vice President of Wally Properties, and Rebecca Patrick, the Office Manager at Wally Properties. Ross Tucker, President and CEO of the Economic Development Authority of Jones County, will be on with us in hour 3. Dr. Jesse Smith, he's been on before, President of Jones County Junior College. And then Cassandra Anelio, attorney at Pine Belt Land Title, will join Middays. That is the schedule for the remainder of the program. So we had a couple of folks, Rhino, you see that reported a lot of rain that we were talking about earlier, in particular in that southwest corner that you mentioned. And you said yesterday that was the prediction. Tucker in Macomb says, I got 4.8 inches in my rain gauge. Also, I'm running on generator power. I'm out in the country, pardon me. I think a limb got my power. Yeah, that's consistent with what Rhino was saying. Just these heavy rains, I guess, cause some of these limbs or trees to fall. They fall on the power lines. Boom, there goes the power. Man, I hope you get it restored, Tucker.
Didn't help that there were wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour in some parts.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised at that. I didn't know that was going on. Honestly, in our area in central Mississippi, we just had really heavy rains, but not much in the way of wind. Let's see. On the ceasefire text line, enhanced ID is only done in just a couple of states, which can be used for international travel. Okay, so that's, I guess, a step ahead of real ID is the way that would work. Is that right, Rhino? Is that your understanding of it?
Yeah,
enhanced ID
the real
ID
is what you got to have. The enhanced ID, I want to say it's 12 different states was the last I saw it.
Okay.
Maybe it's less than that.
Ricky in Aberdeen, he echoes our sentiment. Kudos to Mississippi Department of Public Safety for getting ahead on Real ID. Yeah, I'm just curious. Does anybody out there have an old ID, driver's license that doesn't have the gold star hologram in the top right corner? And in fact, this law, as I recall, Rhino, that was passed in 2005, which was a direct result of 9/11, where we were trying to tighten security and really just tighten the identification, the credentialing process, and the plan as proposed, actually as mandated in the bill, that act. I can't remember the name of the actual legislation, but it was to utilize some more sophisticated technology, such as holograms, right, in driver's license and IDs that are much more difficult to counterfeit.
Yeah, I just found the enhanced ID. There have been 12 states that have attempted to pass legislation or laws to implement them, but as of right now, only 5 states have them. Ohio has passed a law, but it's not yet available to residents of the state. California passed a bill, but it got vetoed by Governor Jerry Brown in 2015 because the enhanced ID has an RFID chip in it, kind of like a lot of debit cards have now, and it can be used for limited passport uses. It can't be used for air travel, but it can be used similar to a passport for land or sea travel.
Okay. Interesting. So do we have that in Mississippi? Is that available?
No, it's only available in Michigan, Minnesota, New York, Vermont, and Washington.
It's just a handful of states. Interesting. And so it's my understanding as well that this law, which was enacted by Congress in 2005, that requires these real IDs, that was a result, again, from a commission on terrorist attacks that testified and studied the attack on 9/11, and this was a recommendation to improve the ID process itself and just the quality of the IDs and the technology used in the IDs to make it more difficult to counterfeit, to fake, to fabricate, just minimum security standards. But the deadlines have been pushed back multiple times. Think about it. It's the deadline today, 20 years later, and it apparently just kept getting pushed back because states were complaining about having to adjust and modify their systems to accommodate it. But 20 years, that's just government at work right there.
Welcome to government efficiency. We are to the point now where people are fed up with the TSA, which got boosted big time after 9/11. And that's so far in the rearview mirror that people are sick and tired of TSA. But we're just now getting another measure that was implemented to help us defend ourselves from the terrorists.
20 years later. That's just incredible. And then, of course, you guys know about the FAA outage in Newark. That's where aircraft, air traffic in the area were unable to communicate with air traffic control. Originally, they said 30 seconds, but I've seen some pilots say it was as long as 90 seconds, which is an eternity when you're in a jet flying around crowded airspace. This happened on April the 28th. The National Air Traffic Controllers Association has confirmed this incident, and this is a direct result of antiquated technology still in use in controlling the nation's air traffic. You got floppy disks being used to update systems in ATC, some of the navigational systems that are used. They're still using technology implemented in 1990, which is crazy. I mean, this is a core function of government. This has been going on for 3.5 decades now, and we're just now starting to speak up about it and address it. That's unbelievable in my view. There have been some efforts to modernize the FAA system, to replace some of this outdated technology, but it just moves so ridiculously slow. It made me think of it when we were talking about the 20 years it took to put a hard date and a hard line in the sand, a date certain where you had to have a real ID, which is supposed to protect us from terrorist attacks. Oh, yeah, we got 20 years before we have to worry about that. That's just unbelievable. So, yep, floppy disks are used to update software on aircraft navigation and communication system. They still rely on paper flight strips, which, of course, all of which was, I guess, state-of-the-art back in the 90s, but not in today's terms, for sure, in modern technology. And they just keep holding back on this, but we've got a guy now in Sean Duffy, who's a transportation secretary. He's serious about fixing this problem. He says we are going to modernize these systems. He's working directly with Congress on appropriating funds for that purpose. Now, this is, in my view, a valuable, necessary, positive use of taxpayer money. This is not grant slush funds. This is keeping people alive in the air and ensuring that air travel is safe. It seems like we've had a rash, more so than I can remember in a compressed period of time, of various incidents, both on the ground and in the air, regarding the nation's commercial air traffic. And this just makes sense. This ought to get the highest priority. But as you recall, in the last administration, Pete Buttigieg, who couldn't fix a pothole in his town in Indiana there, he was more worried about racist roads than he was using floppy disks to update navigational systems that air traffic controllers use to control traffic in the skies, moving at a very high rate of speed with a number of souls on board those aircraft. And that's what happens when you lean into identity politics and all this radical cultural ideology that the Democrats have made front and center and prioritized in every policy-making effort and endeavor and every law-making endeavor. They were way more concerned about that than, keeping us safe in the skies. So it's refreshing to see that we have a Secretary of Transportation that is prioritizing this and not talking about racist interstates and discriminatory exits and the use of trees. And so, remember that, Rhino? We don't have enough trees. We can tell that the tree planting favored a certain population, a certain demographic, a certain race over others. Meanwhile, we got air traffic controllers using floppy disks to control airplanes going 600 miles an hour. Just incredible. We're stepping aside for a break right now. Once again, we're down in Ellisville, Mississippi. We're coming right back. We're here for Jones County Economic Development Authority.
Christ, when you, and everyone we knew, to believe, to sharing what was true. Oh, I said, that's all day long.
The talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
We're rolling. Hit it. Go. Play it.
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Ellisville, Mississippi. We're at Wally Properties in Jones County for Jones County Economic Development Authority. So on the C Spire text line, Thomas in Greenwood says, in all fairness, it's not a complex system. I'd argue the old analog system is sufficient and less prone to attack than a modern interconnection system. I disagree, and it's not so much about just the requirement to update, the need to update navigational information using floppy disks, which are analog storage devices essentially. As Thomas points out, that's absolutely true. But it's not so much that, and it is risky in my view because that requires manual intervention, and there's always risk that the floppies don't work properly, can't be read, and you're not able to update the data as necessary on a timely basis. There are just all kinds of things that can go wrong there. But the bigger issue is the radar systems. That's what failed here. It was the radar systems. And this was Cold War era radar. That's what we're still using. 60-year-old radar in America's ATC systems. And that's what first and foremost needs to be addressed. I mean, it just completely failed. And technicians were dispatched to remedy the problem, but it took a while. And what it tells you when you have just this glitch, even though it was only 90 seconds, again, which is an eternity when you're controlling air traffic, is that we're subject to future failures. So the Secretary of Transportation, again, Sean Duffy, is emphatic about investing in modernization of these technologies. So I think this is a good move. Again, I just point out that that's a lower priority to the prior administration than are locating interstates in a way that they deem are not racist, or planting trees in areas that they believe are more equitable. And that's the main point that needs to be made here. Everything, again, is framed with this radical gender ideology, race, and climate change. That really are the key factors and the key influencers in all decisions, all policies, all laws. And that's a problem. Alan in the Delta says, let Elon fix it. It will be up and running by the weekend. Well, it would be Elon's team, but that's a little more complicated than just a couple of day fix right there. National database, more government control, says landfill management. I suspect you're talking about the real ID, or are you talking about air traffic control? Paul and Brandon, my ID was issued in November 2018 and is still the old one. So I'm not sure, Rhino. When did we start issuing the gold star hologram real IDs here in the state of Mississippi? It's been a while. Stephen Politok says, I do have the yellow star and fingerprinted and vetted by the FBI. Mo says, my driver's license was issued 7 years ago for 8 years and does not have it. So it must have happened after that. That's consistent with the other person on the text line. Okay, so it happened just right after that. Based on both of you guys saying 7, 8 years, that's where we are right now. He says, my military IDs are the real IDs. Yeah, that makes sense. My guess is the military implemented that before states did in their driver's license processing. Daniel in Boonville says, do you think with the current teacher shortage that it is just going to exacerbate the problem since they now have to work 35 years before they can retire? And that, in response, he sent that in when we were talking to Dr. B.R. Jones, the superintendent of the Jones County School District. Well, I would invite you, he's talking about the new PERS hybrid plan, the Public Employees Retirement System, the new Tier 5 that was just enacted into law. The principal author of that legislation, Senator Daniel Sparks. I would keep this in mind, though, Daniel. You can work for 8 years and retire at age 65. It's all that's required. 62, you can retire at that age with 30 years of service. The 35-year requirement that you mentioned is what would be required again if you wanted to retire at any age. You got 35 years, no matter what your age, you're qualified for full retirement at any age, as long as you got 35 years of service in. So the current Tier 4, it's 30 at any age, or 65 years old and 8. So the 62 and 30 is a new twist, a new provision. Again, under current PERS, Tier 4, 30 years at any age, 8 years at 65. Under Tier 5, 30 years and 62, 8 years and 65, consistent with the present Tier 4, and then 35 years. So an increase of 5 years to retire at any age limit. I mean, if you started working right out of school, let's say as a teacher, which I've never seen any data on this, Rhino, but I suspect most teachers probably enter the profession, I'm thinking, sometime shortly after they've received their degree, the appropriate credentials to be a teacher, to qualify as a teacher in the state. So let's just say you're 25. So you worked for 35 years, and you're 60, and you're eligible for full retirement. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. I think that's considerably earlier than most people would consider the appropriate time to retire. So I don't really think that's going to be a factor and won't be a risk in recruiting and hiring new teachers. I don't see that being a deterrent in that respect. So I don't really think that's a problem. Let's see. Jason in Starkville says, Buttigieg war in East Palestine, that was, up in Ohio for the train wreck, is racist. Yeah, that's right. He did indicate that there was some racial significance to that crash, which spilled dangerous chemicals all over the place. He clearly was over his head when that happened, by the way. No doubt about that. CCHF says the Real ID card is a federal ID card that can eventually be used to keep tabs on the car holders. What's CCHF? What am I missing there? CCHF advocates to reject Real ID.
If I had to guess, I would guess it's the Citizens Council for Health Freedom. And they're, as usual, sadly, misinformed and mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with, so getting a driver's license is designed to allow government to track you? Okay, well then don't get a driver's license. Don't drive. If that's your concern, don't fly on airplanes. Nobody's forcing you to drive. Driving is a privilege. Flying on an airplane and passing through security, that's a privilege. It's not a right. And somehow I think we've construed that so many of these things that require fairly simple tasks and just stipulations are an imposition of rights, and I don't think that is in this case. At some point, didn't we even call driver's licenses privilege licenses or something, Rhino? Wasn't the word privilege included somewhere in that at some point?
Yeah, that's why they can be revoked.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense, because you don't have a right to have one. It's a privilege as long as you play by the rules. Really pretty simple. What tier will be up to before it becomes a full defined contribution, says Thomas. I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon, a full conversion to defined contribution. I think we'll always have some aspect of public sector employment making available some form of a defined benefit plan, such as the Public Employees Retirement System. This new Tier 5 is kind of a half and half deal. I have to meet the rule of 75 to get my full pension, says Thomas. Well, Thomas, I don't know exactly what that means. If that means you have to work till you're 75 to get your full pension, you made the decision to go work where you work. Go work somewhere else if you don't like the benefits. This is the way to solve that problem. Yeah, Jimmy in Madison says, you guys were right. 2018 is when the state of Mississippi began issuing the Real IDs for their driver's licenses. So I guess that means if you've obtained your driver's license, either a new one or renewed it since 2018, you should have the hologram gold star included on the actual license itself. You're good to go as far as Real ID is concerned. We're going to step aside for a break right now. When we come back, it's Danielle Ashley with the Jones County Board of Supervisors.
Irv. Is everybody ready?
I'm ready. Ready here.
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Wally Properties in Ellisville, Mississippi. We're here for Jones County Economic Development Authority. It's our pleasure to welcome now Danielle Ashley with the Jones County Board of Supervisors. Danielle, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
All right, so tell us what's going on here in Jones County. I see you're well prepared. You brought plenty of notes. I don't have that many questions for you.
Well, I was hoping you would.
All right, tell us what's happening.
Yeah, there's always a lot of stuff going on. But one thing I did want to point out, which I think your listeners will be very appreciative of, is that Jones County Board of Supervisors has cut the millage rate every year for the past 5 years.
We were just talking to Mayor Buckholtz about that.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
We're really proud of that. And, you know, we cut it a little bit. It's not significant, but you have to do that, you know, to maintain what you have. And, of course, the cost of everything goes up. You know, we have garbage trucks. We have road equipment. We have over 1,100 road miles in the county that the supervisors are responsible for maintaining. So all of that costs a lot of money. But because we've been so fortunate to have the industry here and industries that continue to invest here, you know, our assessed value continues to increase, you know, and it's not increasing maybe as much as DeSoto and Lafayette and Harrison County, but, you know, we are growing and we're appreciative of that. It lets us continue to cut the millage rate a little bit.
Well, that's a great point because that it's something that I hear a lot on the show from folks on our text line, just out in public in general, is just complaints in general about property taxes. They'd like to see those reduced or preferably even fully eliminated. Mm-hmm. But the point you're making is as you bring more industry in and they invest in assets that are subject to ad valorem taxes.
Yes.
Land and property and equipment inside, right? All of that drives ad valorem tax revenues, and the more you're able to receive from those businesses, then you're in better position to cut those ad valorem taxes altogether because you're increasing your taxable base.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's really important.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know people don't love paying taxes, but you have to remember you travel to work every day and you want good roads and bridges to travel on. Brad White makes that point all the time.
Executive Director of MDOT.
Yeah, you got to have a good transportation system to get there and get to your schools. And we, you know, have a good relationship with Jones College. We have 6 meals on for them, and we have a sheriff's department. We have a garbage service that picks up garbage once a week, and it's $17.50 a month. So we try to keep all these services going at reasonable, affordable rates for people.
Yeah.
It's really important to us.
Yeah. So is it fair to say, Danielle, that perhaps the primary responsibility, if not the primary expenditure from a county perspective, is on transportation infrastructure?
Yes, that would be fair.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's 2 different kinds of counties, beat and unit, and we're a beat county, which means our supervisors are actively involved every day in their beats, you know. And unit counties are a little bit more hands-off. They're not even supposed to touch the road equipment.
Okay.
But our county is a beat county, and the supervisors work so hard. I mean, they are, you know, they're so attentive to their constituents, and they work very hard to keep the costs low. A lot of my supervisors, they'll do the work themselves. You know, they'll pave roads themselves. They'll fix bridges, you know, as much as they can because it's cheaper and it makes the dollar go further, you know. So they're really dedicated to doing a lot of work themselves.
We're here, of course, on behalf of the Jones County Economic Development Authority. Talk about how you guys work hand in hand with them to recruit industry into the county.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with the EDA. And they're always looking to improve the land that they have to attract industry. You know, that's kind of the way this world works now, is you get the sites ready, so that way you're more competitive for these industries coming in, and they're more likely to pick your site, and they want utilities to be available. So you got to have the water, the sewage, you got to have all of that ready for them, the electricity ready for them to go. But Ross Tucker and his team, Shelley Jones, they do a wonderful job working with us to attract those industries.
Ross is coming on here in a little while on the program.
Yep.
What are you hearing from the Capitol, from the state Capitol? Anything in particular that affects you guys as far as your policies, your funding, just your organization in general?
Well, two things I'd like to mention. One is how useful the use tax has been to our county. We receive about $3 million a year, and we put every bit of that. It has to be put on roads and bridges, and we utilize every bit of that money, and we're so appreciative of that. It's really helped us to not have to issue any more debt on the roads. And the second thing is this E911 funding bill that was passed. We hope that will significantly help us, because that is a budget that's so important. We have centralized dispatch in Jones County, so that means we dispatch for all of the cities, the sheriff's department, all of the volunteer fire departments. So that's very important to us as well. And Senator Robinson got us an appropriation for Ruston Volunteer Fire Department for them to have a new building, which was very nice. And Representative Donnie Scoggin got us a little bit of money in the past, $500,000, to help us do a training center project, which is our sheriff's department project. So we have good relationships with our senators and representatives, and we appreciate them as well, because I know they have a hard job too.
The use tax, about 5 years or so ago when that was implemented, I think.
Yeah. And it's been a game changer. It really has for us.
Of course, that means to the people out there, that just means that when you make purchases online, the use tax is essentially applied at that point. The word use tax, that term comes from you didn't buy it within the jurisdiction, but you use it, and thus it's subject to, in that area, thus it's subject to that tax. It's essentially equivalent to the sales tax. And you're right, the law was implemented with the diversion going out and it only being used in transportation infrastructure, roads and bridges.
It's been great. I'm sure if you were able to track that, it might come back Danielle Ashley significantly contributed through Amazon, but you and
lots of other people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was very smart to do that.
So right now, of course, we're waiting for those legislators to get back to Jackson underneath the dome there to hammer out a budget.
Yeah.
Are you guys getting nervous about that? Does it affect you in any way at the county level?
Well, we're not nervous yet, but, I do keep asking, when you guys going back, we ask for some special projects, but, we don't bank on those. We never bank on getting
those. That's
the
point of contention.
Yeah, that's
what
I've heard.
Between the House and the Senate at this point. The special projects, the Christmas tree and the special projects bill and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
It's my understanding that leadership from the houses and the governor are scheduled to meet today sometime to talk about how to move forward from here. So maybe we'll get something going here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is there anything in particular, Danielle, that the county has talked about that it would like to see the legislature do in the way of policy or funding or laws or regulations or anything along those lines that you feel would benefit the county?
Well, I can't miss an opportunity to say we always could use more funding. Something we've looked at in the future would probably be our jail. That's going to be a huge expense to either rebuild a new one or maybe even renovate the one we have. But at some point, we're going to have to face that, and that is a very costly expenditure for a county. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So, because if you want to have a jail in your county, you have to pay for it, and it has to be up to a certain standard, which is pretty expensive. So,
in some counties, the relationship between the county government, the municipal governments, even the school district, it can be a little tense.
Yeah.
You don't seem to have that here in Jones County. You guys work together well.
One board, actually, the Emergency Operations Board, we all come together. We're all on that board. We split funding for that service. So that keeps us in touch and keeps our relationship working. But yeah, we've always had a good relationship between the three of us. I say three. We have Sandersville and So too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anything out of Washington at the federal level that with the new administration that has had some sort of impact on the county, or anything you're concerned about that might have an impact?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe I should be. I'm not sure. Yeah, not yet. Not at this point.
Yeah, there's still a bit of uncertainty, especially with the Congress negotiating the one big beautiful bill and what that budget's going to look like and how that might impact us at the county, state, and local levels.
Right.
Could be something to pay attention to.
Right.
But sounds like things are going real well here in Jones County.
We're doing well, and we're blessed, so we're fortunate, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love to hear the millage going down. That's great.
And we've been able to have that healthy reserve and keep our bond rating. So
all at the same time.
It's
with
good.
Lower taxes.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's fantastic.
That's great.
Appreciate you coming on, Danielle Ashley, Jones County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Danielle.
Thanks
Appreciate
for talking with me.
You bet. Folks, we're stepping aside for a break. When we come back, it's Jamie Wally and Rebecca Patrick with Wally Properties. Stay with us.
Up of Mississippi.
It's so awesome! Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Come on, let's get on with the show!
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Young teacher, the subject of schoolgirl.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. We're coming at you live from Ellisville, Mississippi. We're at Wally Properties. We're here to promote economic development right here in the free state of Jones. The Jones County Economic Development Authority does a fantastic job of bringing industry in to Jones County. And one of the reasons they come is because there are great companies that are headquartered here, been here a long time, such as Wally Properties, and we are pleased to welcome Jamie Wally, Vice President, Operations Manager for Wally Properties and Wally Forestry Consultants, as well as Rebecca Patrick, the Office Manager for Wally Properties and Wally Forestry Consultants. Jamie, Rebecca, thanks for coming on. Thanks for having us here today.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We love having you guys down.
It's awesome. What about it, Jamie?
Oh, everything's great. Good fellowship and always good food in Jones County.
Absolutely. I can see it in there, and some folks are already partaking. So when we finish the show today, I'm going to dig in as well. From everybody we've talked to, it's nothing but positives coming from all the folks, from the mayor to the county supervisors to the school district. You guys are blessed here, Jamie, in Jones County.
Oh, yes. Everything's just wonderful. You know, we've got an awesome junior college here, which...
Yeah.
You know, we have the opportunity of taking students from the forestry program there and working them here in our office. And
Rebecca, we're right here in the heart of the Pine Belt,
absolutely,
which is an important part of the state of Mississippi. It's unique, really, in the country.
It really is. It's a wonderful place to be. In the Pine Belt, you know, as we've discussed in the past, you know, forestry is one of the top agriculture industries in the state of Mississippi. And being in Ellisville, being in Jones County, one of the great things about that is that we are in really the heart of things down here in South Mississippi.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so Jamie was talking about how you guys, I guess, recruit, right, from nearby Jones College.
Oh, absolutely. Well, everybody in the office here that works here, we all went through Jones County Junior College, and a few of us spent some time working there. I'm retired from Jones, as is Jim Wally, the founder.
Right. Yeah.
And so we have great ties with Jones and with their forestry department, and really with everything. Our drone pilot went to school there too. too. She's not a forestry person, but she did go to school there as well, and that has served her well in her creative aspect for us too. So we are definitely good partners with Jones County Junior College. Jones College now.
That's right, Jones College. Dr. Smith, the president of Jones College, coming on the program later. Just for the benefit of the folks, Jamie, tell them exactly what Wally Properties and Wally Forestry Consultants do. What's your primary line of business there?
Well, we're a one-stop shop from land sales to long-term timber management. We broker timber. We don't buy timber. We go in, represent the landowner, and timber market. That's my job every day, studying it. And it's a roller coaster. It's up and down.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pure commodity, is it not?
Absolutely.
I mean, the market dictates what the price is.
Absolutely. And we've got several sales that are out currently, and from land sales. It's been very impressive, start, to the first quarter, and hopefully the second quarter is going to continue.
Good. Well, I know when I've been here in the past, Rebecca, I've always been intrigued to learn that there are people that will contact you that perhaps have never been to Mississippi or are just driving through, and they see this beautiful property we have across the landscape of our state, and they'll end up finding their way to you, and you guys help them out.
That's right. We always do that. Part of it has to do with the popularity of our hometown show in Laurel, and but once they discover us, they discovered that there is more to us. Yeah. And hometown's great. Those kids went through my program at Jones, and so we're very proud of that. And they brought a lot of recognition to the area. But we'll get people that want they're looking for rural land. They're looking for land close to cities, but yet out in the country. Some want places. We have people calling us and say we want to get in the chicken house business, poultry business. People that want to have farmland. People that want to do recreational timberland. But it starts with them discovering what's here in Jones County and liking it, and the surrounding area. And they come here and we try to help them as best we could to match what they're looking for.
Jamie, it's important, is it not, to engage services such as Wally Forestry Consultants to help folks manage that land, that timber, and make sure we have plenty for the future?
Absolutely. And that's our job, being a guide, teaching these families trust that we manage for. Yeah. These children may never step foot on the land. They may live, 4 states over, and through our management plans, we're the guide.
Yeah, and it's a lot more complicated than meets the eye, and there's a whole lot more technology and tools and innovation that has been developed through the years that can really just improve the quality and the yields and just the durability of those lands.
Oh, absolutely. And, talking about keeping up with things, Rebecca and our whole office crew, we've been working our tails off getting ready to launch a new website.
Oh, wow. That ought to be interesting. Jamie Wally, Vice President, Operations Manager, Wally Properties and Wally Forestry Consultants, and Rebecca Patrick, the Office Manager for the company, have been our guests. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you so much.
We're stepping aside for a break. Fox News, SuperTalk News is next.
And now, another hour of the talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Begin your transition now.
Now on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Ellisville, Mississippi. We're at Wally Properties in Ellisville, right across the street from the police department, as a matter of fact, in Ellisville. We're here to promote economic development in Jones County on this
Hump Day.
Rhino safe and sound back in the SuperTalk Mississippi headquarters. So we were talking about the gold star, the hologram on the real ID, which is required now to go through the normal process with TSA to fly on an airplane in this country or enter a federal facility. Today is the day. This law enacted in 2005 So it's taken 20 years to, I guess, approach a deadline where you must comply with the original Real ID provisions of that law to fly on an airplane or gain access to a federal facility. 20 years in the making. But a lot of states really drug their feet, procrastinated, and folks are now scurrying about to get their Real ID. You can still fly, but you'll be diverted, is what Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem said, addressing Congress, an appropriations committee, actually yesterday on the Hill on the House side, said, yeah, you can still fly, but you won't be able to go through the normal TSA security check process. You'll be diverted to another process. I'm just feeling like that's going to cause more chaos and disruption. And you know what's likely to happen, Rhino? People are not even aware of this. And they're going to show up and they're going to hand them their non-compliant Real ID. And the TSA folks are going to direct them to some other line, some other location there at the airport for whatever that screening and security process looks like. They're going to be mad. I'm just going to guess.
Yeah, but the likelihood of that happening to anybody that lives in Mississippi is slim to none, because it's
totally agree.
98% of Mississippians that have an ID have a Real ID already.
Because, as we've determined, that process started in Mississippi, the conversion to the Real ID for driver's licenses in 2018, 7 years ago. So
I guess if you're from a state that's run by idiots like California or Illinois,
yeah, procrastinated this deal. Yeah.
Then you might have some strife when you go to the airport, but just blame it on those dummies you keep electing.
I totally agree. So something else kind of star-related. You know the old Energy Star program? Remember that? The Energy Star rating, which nobody ever really understood. Well, the Trump administration, I welcome this news, is shutting down the EPA's Energy Star program, which rates the efficiency of appliances in buildings, including in homes and in industrial facilities. So they're cutting this thing off. They're cutting the, quote, Climate Protection Partnerships division. What in the heck is that? Why do we have it? Why do we need it? And why are we spending money on it? Also, there's a greenhouse gas reporting program, which requires businesses to report the release of gases that cause global warming. The New York Times says, quote, the Energy Star program and all the other climate work outside of what's required by statute is being deprioritized and eliminated. Right, because it provided no value. And when taxpayers invest money, or more importantly, as we shared yesterday, 46 cents of every dollar spent by the federal government is borrowed. So we're borrowing money to run these crazy programs. This was created in 1992 under President H.W. Bush, George H.W. Bush. It's kind of a public-private partnership. I'm saying good riddance, that this is really something we don't need. Just like all this gnashing of teeth and clutching of pearls and wailing about cutting funding for NPR and PBS. By the way, those organizations get about 15% of their total funding from the federal government. Okay, well, get all 100% from sources other than the federal government. It doesn't make sense for taxpayers, and again, we're borrowing money for this purpose. Every dollar you see spent, just keep in mind, we're borrowing 46 cents of every dollar to fund whatever that is. It's, again, time to say, hey, guys, sorry, we can't afford it. It's not political. It's not ideological. There's no other side motive or rationale. We don't need it. The fact is, we don't have enough money. So we got to get our financial house in order. And I would say that upgrading the radar systems used to control airplanes above our heads is a much better and more necessary and valuable use of federal funds than NPR and PBS. That shouldn't even be on the table. It's time we sit down and look at, on a line-item basis, all this money we're spending, which includes borrowing a bunch of it, nearly half of it, and just say, sorry, you got to go. We can't afford it. There is an epic battle setting up right now in Washington over this budget. And one of the things that is really getting a lot of attention, we shared it yesterday somewhat, is Medicaid. Now, Medicaid is no doubt rife with waste, fraud, and abuse, both on the provider side and the subscriber side. One of the main things, just thinking about aging technology, and I really fully believe that the way to address all this wasteful spending, especially all the fraud and abuse, is with innovative technology. We're not going to do it by hiring a bunch of people. I mean, it's easy to say, hey, look, that person's not eligible for Medicaid. But we don't have an army of people to determine that. What we need are sophisticated, powerful systems that aid humans in making those decisions and ensuring that the rolls are clean. But here's an example. There are a number of people. The figure escapes me, but it's a significant number who were registered and enrolled in Medicaid in multiple states. And it's not because they get money for it. Because Medicaid is not a program that sends checks to people. What it does, however, is it sends federal Medicaid, sends money to the states, and the states, generally speaking, most states, contract with third parties, managed care organizations, MCOs, to run the Medicaid programs. They're responsible. It's like an intermediary insurance company, if you will. So the state pays a certain amount per head to those MCOs. Well, if they're enrolled in multiple states, well, the federal government is essentially, and the other states as well, but because the federal government picks up the lion's share of Medicaid premiums that go to the MCOs, you got multiple MCOs receiving money from the federal and state government that they operate in for the same person. Well, they only live in one state. And by the way, your Medicaid card, as the case is, you get a card when you're enrolled in Medicaid. It's only good for the state in which you're enrolled. You can't use it across state lines. But the way to address this problem is with technology. It's insane to me that we have 50 states and all 50 states don't talk to each other about things like this. It's the same thing with voting. I mean, there has been a little effort to implement some controls to ensure that someone's not registered to vote in multiple states, in which case they could get creative and defraud and commit voter fraud, if you will, and cast multiple ballots. It doesn't even have to be that person, depending on the state you're in, because in a lot of states you just show up and they don't check your ID. You just vote. You're on the rolls. Okay, you get to vote. But we need technology. We need sophisticated systems that are integrated, that share this data, so that a person can't just move about. Because a lot of times they just move, and they just don't call the Medicaid, just like you don't normally call your circuit clerk and say, hey, look, take me off the rolls. I don't live here anymore. I'm moving. Most people don't think about that. And there are no consequences or penalties for it. So bottom line is we got people, a bunch of them, that are enrolled in multiple states in Medicaid, and the federal government and the respective states are paying third parties for those subscribers, even though they only exist one time. That's one person. And then you got the Medicaid card. You and I were talking about that yesterday, Brino, that doesn't have anything on it. It's just like a standard insurance card. It's just got a number. It doesn't have your and your name, but it doesn't have any kind of identifying information like your photo. So people just pass the cards around and use them. These are the kind of things we got to start addressing, again, using novel and innovative technology to stop all of these schemes that are used by bad guys to defraud these systems, including providers, including pharmaceutical companies and pharmacy retailers and the whole lot. We're stepping aside for a break. It's Ross Tucker, President and CEO of the Economic Development Authority of Jones County, next.
Talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Let's get on with it.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Ellisville, Mississippi. We're at Wally Properties, and we're pleased to welcome now Ross Tucker, President and CEO of the Economic Development Authority of Jones County. Ross, good to see you again, man.
Hey, good to see you. Welcome to the Free State.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Enjoying our time down here as always. So give us an update on what you guys got cooking there in economic development that you could at least talk about,
well, we can
right?
talk about it. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things we can't talk about, unfortunately.
Understand, yeah.
But no, I think we've been blessed in recent years with the proactiveness with a board of supervisors that have partnered with us to help develop and attract new industry coming into the communities, as well as taking care of what we have here. And then we've also been very fortunate to be the recipient of Governor Tate Reeves' site development proceeds for a number of years. This county has had a lot of it's historically manufacturing, blue collar, a lot of jobs that are associated with that. A lot of industrial property that was built and kind of forgotten about, or bought and forgotten about with public dollars years ago. We've kind of re-injected those properties with new life, new infrastructure, and cleaning them up and getting them ready to go for the next opportunity that comes about.
What we hear so much now, Ross, in terms of suitors, prospects, looking to make an investment somewhere is it's how fast can they get it done, right? It's speed to market. The governor talked about that quite a bit with some of the recent big successes that have been announced here in Mississippi, that these companies want to know how quick can we get shovels in the ground and go. And that's why I think it's so important to have these sites ready, prepped, good to go, where a prospect can come in and envision their project on the site. The governor gets that, and that's why I think it was a wise idea to make some investments there. Your thoughts on that?
Brilliant on his part. There were a lot of folks that you and I both know in other parts of the state that kind of had that figured out. He went up to those areas, saw how they were doing things, offered a carrot for the rest of us to kind of go out there and build a plan. Speed is the new incentive, and essentially if anybody's coming in to do any type of investment to anybody's community, they want to see where the property, they want to see where their investment is going to sit. And that's where we have. There's different certifications, there's different lines and checks and all these types of things. We've gone out and dug holes every 30 meters, 12 inches deep, and on 450 acres. So that's a lot of that's a lot of testing, a lot of things that have to take place behind the scenes. That we've been very fortunate enough. Our board of supervisors, our board members at the Economic Development Authority, and all that have taken place.
Well, so in addition to that, once you've got a site selected and you've brought that into the inventory and you've done a lot of the pre-work, maybe some clearing and grubbing and soil testing, et cetera, then it's transportation infrastructure, right? That's
exactly right.
Got to facilitate travel to and from that facility and just accommodate the growth. That's another big piece of it as well. That's what Commissioner Brad White, Executive Director, I should say, Brad White at MDOT talks about all the time.
Oh, it's without a doubt. The infrastructure throughout this community is the heartbeat is I-59 running through it. The amount of traffic that gets off at 20 up around Meridian and then kind of bypasses Jackson as well as comes through here to go to the east side of New Orleans, those type of traffic models, the infrastructure and everything that's built up here to accommodate large industry, which ultimately is beneficial for all the people that live in the community because the roads are built up to a certain specification that to accommodate all this stuff, and that's where we're very fortunate. So
economic development is indeed a team sport.
Oh,
yes.
Not wrong. Oh, it is. it's a team sport, and we can't do it by ourselves, and we definitely can't do it without the support of state, local, regional, everyone involved. Dr. Smith with Jones College and the expertise that the asset that we have in our backyard to attract new training possibilities and whatnot and partnerships. So,
and it's so along those lines. It's so refreshing to see that great institutions like Jones College are all open to the idea of collaborating with industry to figure out what their curricula ought to look like.
It's amazing the impact that they've had specifically on this community. Their career tech enrollment has shifted up significantly in double-digit figures, just simply because of the job opportunities that are out there, on the horizon. I'm from a different generation to where whenever we were going through those things, the more the jobs, the higher the college degree, the more jobs you had.
Yeah.
Now, the more jobs and the quicker amount of pay that you can get to is in the career tech field.
Yeah.
So
no doubt there's a shortage.
Yep.
And there are a lot of jobs that folks just don't think about doing and don't really realize that how high the pay can be and how great the benefits can be and just overall quality of work life.
That is exactly right.
I think that message is getting out there. But these community colleges, they're a gem in the state of Mississippi. Yes. And I think, I'm sure you run into this when you're talking to suitors, that they also realize that that's a valuable asset that they could leverage.
Oh, they do. Exactly. They utilize it. We utilize it. And without those educational partnerships, with using Accelerate funds and all that. If you're going to an area that's not very good at workforce development, it is a challenge. And I've worked in some of those areas in my career.
Yeah.
Having them in our backyard is an asset.
Power, that's another huge asset and huge factor in recruiting industry as well, is it not?
It is. Having everything propped up, ready to go is kind of the next game. The governor announced the power play cooperation with a number of utilities as well as one of our large industries, Howard Industries here. With the power generation.
It's a great idea, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a brilliant idea. The amount of available power that we had available for these data centers and the new capital investment is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's cutting down on the regulations to keep that momentum going on the future power demands.
Absolutely.
Moving forward.
So what would you tell a prospect thinking about a new project? What would you tell them about Jones County, Ross, why they should consider Jones County?
Well, Jones is one of those communities that has helped propped up industries for a number of years. We've had this county has supported local industries, have turned them into billion-dollar companies, Fortune 1000 companies, and helped support those. Not only the community, but also the people in the surrounding community. That type of thing is what we're used to doing. We're kind of the manufacturing hub of the Pine Belt.
Yeah,
we know how to get things done, and we know how to support industry once they get here. And
well, you got all the ingredients for a great quality of life and what are conducive to business formation, investment, and business growth. You got great education, great health care. As you said, great people, obviously. You got low crime.
Yep.
Got lots of great land.
Yep. Got plenty of land.
Everything you need.
Yep. Everything we need. Plus, it doesn't help. I mean, it does not hurt to have people watching your community on a weekly basis. About 3 million sets of eyes looking at it. So it does help.
That's been a huge factor. But people are discovering just how great this area is and the state of Mississippi overall. And I think we're all going to benefit from that.
Yes, definitely.
Tremendous way. Yeah. The Mississippi Development Authority, Bill Clark and those guys, they do a pretty good job up there.
They do a very good job. They have Bill has done an excellent job with shepherding all of us to get in sync with what the governor has planned.
Yeah.
It's going to be an exciting time these next few years. He has we see him a lot here lately.
Yeah,
so
good.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So.
They're very active, and
very.
This Inflex program that was created a few years ago, that's been a bit of a game changer, hasn't it?
It has. It streamlined a lot of things. A lot of our industries that traditionally have done other things, and there was a lot of red tape. A lot of, hey, if you do this, you have to do this. If you do that, you have to do that. Basically, by the time they figured out how much money they were going to save, they could just go ahead and forego that and just from the time. Inflex is one of those things that has cut down the time, cut down the red tape, and actually given a tax credit that's actually hits the bottom line, where industries and CFOs and accountants that are in those industries actually see the bottom line. So it's a huge asset in recruiting. Yes, it is.
I think it was a good move on the part of the state of Mississippi. Ross, good to see you, and thanks for coming on.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Ross Tucker, President, CEO of the Jones County Economic Development Authority, has been our guest. We're stepping aside for a break. Up next, Dr. Jesse Smith, the president of Jones Junior College. Stay with us.
Is everybody ready?
I'm ready. Ready here.
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Ellisville, Mississippi. We're at Wally Properties. We're here for the Jones County Economic Development Authority. We're pleased to welcome now the president of Jones College. That would be Dr. Jesse Smith. Dr. Smith, always good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure to see you, and welcome to Ellisville.
Man, it's rocking and rolling down here, isn't it?
It's going really well. We've had a great year. We've got a lot going on. Thanks to the EDA for allowing us to be a part of the event. Thanks to SuperTalk for coming down and taking an interest.
Oh, absolutely. Always a pleasure. So many great things happening here in the county, and, of course, one of those is Jones College. Give us a good word there.
Sure. First of all, we need these special thanks to all of our graduates that are out there. But we've been around a part of the community since 1911.
Wow.
So we got deep roots and deep community focus here for a while, but we've had a fantastic year. Historically, we've graduated students that have been exceptional in every field. They've reached to the top of that particular venture, of their particular major, etc. For instance, we've got university presidents, we've got Super Bowl MVPs, we've got award-winning research biologists. If you name it in that part of the world, we've got some folks that are competing at that level.
Yep.
So we have a long legacy of that, of a little old small town like we are. We got graduates that are all over the world, and we're very thankful for that. But we do have a unique experience, a unique characteristic of being able to put people in tremendous places, and they do very well.
Well, that's the goal. I mean, that's the objective.
No doubt.
It's not just taking money and teaching people stuff that really doesn't benefit them.
Absolutely.
Post graduation.
Absolutely. Well, you make a great point. Everything we do is workforce training.
Yeah.
In one form or fashion. If it's just learning how to learn a certain skill set, or actually learning a pathway to a university degree, advanced degree, or professional degree, we do it very well.
We have an incredible complement of community colleges in the state of Mississippi.
No doubt.
Really unique in the country.
No doubt. Respect. That's one thing the state has going for us. 15 sister institutions, all autonomous, working together, and coordinated by a board. And the state legislature has supported us from its inception, and our local counties all support us. Like Jones County here, I can't tell you how big of a support they have been, a big part of our lives. From day one, when we first started, we couldn't make it without the citizens in Jones County and their tax support.
Yeah. That's awesome. And something else that you and I have touched on in the past is we're seeing more collaboration and integration between institutions of higher learning, community colleges, workforce development training, and so forth, and the private sector.
Absolutely.
So we're talking to them about, hey, what do you need these people to be able to do so we can curate the curriculum to match
Day one. The employers, your community, day one, the people who are hiring, the next place where the student goes should be involved. This past year, we started a unique program where we have 330 business partners that the student actually enrolls at Jones, actually goes to work for these companies, and they're actually earning work-based learning credit while they're in the process of earning their degree. That is the way of the future, is that we begin with the employer on day one.
Okay.
And if they're going to university, begin day one with that university in mind so we can get them prepared. Students that are successful are the ones that are directly focused on what they're going to do next. If they have no clue, if they're unsure, more than likely they're just one small thing of keeping them from achieving their dreams.
It hasn't always been this way, though, has it?
No, it's not. Resiliency is really taking a back seat to other things. Today's generation has so many things that can derail them.
Yeah.
They're one flat. Some students come to us with so many issues. They're just one flat tire away from not achieving the dream. However, there are some that are incredible, but our job is to make sure everybody's got a pathway, got a way to get there, and we got the people that work hard to help sure that they are successful.
That's awesome. Talk to us about some of the accomplishments.
Sure. Let's just take this past year. The past year we had the largest enrollment growth of the colleges in the state of Mississippi, and we think that's great. Enrollment growth. You got to have that in order to sustain us fiscally. We're very conservative. We have come from a very conservative county, as you probably know. Jones County is very wise with their funding and with their millage support, and we believe in it. That enrollment growth is great, but we do also see some other things that are great for the future. There are some big areas that we're trying to raise awareness on, like, for instance, like in the construction trades right now. We see there's a huge gap. That intertransference of knowledge from one generation to the next is not there like it used to be. We're focusing on the Ben and Aaron Napier Center for the Building Arts. We've been raising funds for that over the last few years, trying to get that off the ground, and we've made great progress. We're also starting a applied engineering center for the future, and it's going to be extremely innovative and meeting the needs of our business and industry for those skill sets from some of the newest technology that's out there.
You've got to constantly evolve.
Absolutely. Never stop. We do have something pretty unique. We're all about, being one, number one, trying to be one. Unity is in our name, Jones. You look at ONE, it's right in the middle of our names, and we really focus on that. And so if you look at what we do with sports, we approach sports differently. People say, well, you don't really need to have a sports team, but I'll tell you this. We focus with it totally different. It's the best leadership program outside of the military. By run, we start day one teaching these folks how to be leaders. Before they graduate and they're in their home, we're going back to their community. If something's missing, we want them to start it. If there's a little league needs to start. If there's a church needs to be started, start it. If there's a business that needs to be added, start it. We're equipping them with the mentality and the mindset to do that. Now, these graduates that come out of these programs, I wholeheartedly endorse them, because they've been through the leadership training on how to be great people. And so that makes a difference in an organization. Yeah. Leadership is a skill set that can be taught.
Well, athletic competition, that may be the best environment, the best tool to teach leadership.
Yeah, that's right. You got to be responsible. And, for instance, right now, for the first time in the history of the state of Mississippi, we have two girls that are competing for a national title in the national tennis tournament. No two-year college from the state of Mississippi has ever been to the finals. We've got Helen Hernandez and Molly Bennett. Molly is from right here in Mississippi, and they're competing at 1 o'clock. So, folks out there, if prayer is part of your life, say a prayer for these two bobcats about 1 o'clock.
Legislation passed this year, the so-called anti-DEI legislation that does impose some requirements in the educational community. Is that going to affect you guys?
Not one bit.
You were already there.
Well, no, sir. We're already merit based as it was.
Yeah, should be.
Yeah, and that is not That's not a. I don't hire not one single person because of anything of a protected status if they can do the job. That's right. Should be across the board. And I'm very thankful that our community, the college community, they see the benefits of that, but also being aware of what's important to others and what's important to our students. Yeah. This social agenda that has been pushed over the last few years has been very difficult for us. For we really don't, it's anti-work, and it just didn't make sense to us. Yeah. We couldn't wrap our hands around it. Our hands were tied. We didn't know how to approach it. With President Trump coming in with this, it really, and primarily from the state legislature, it clarified where our stance needed to be, and I'm very thankful for the direction that the legislature has given us.
Yeah. Well, I know there's some institutions that got to make some changes, but I felt like you guys, knowing you and knowing your value set, that probably wouldn't be a problem for you.
Not a problem. Yeah. We appreciate the resources that we have. We're going to stretch a dollar, and we're going to treat people as best it can be. We can treat folks like they're part of family. Yeah. That's what we want to focus on, is that hospitality culture of organization, which makes us a great college. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, I know you do a great job. It's a great institution. It's something that certainly the community should be proud of, as well as the entire state of Mississippi. Keep cranking out those quality graduates. Absolutely.
For us, Dr. Smith.
Thank you. We'll have graduation this coming Friday.
That's awesome.
And we like to party and celebrate on graduation day. So,
Dr. Jesse Smith, the president of Jones College, has been our guest here on Middays. We're coming right back with a final segment from Ellisville, Mississippi at Wally Properties with Cassandra Inacio, attorney with the Pine Belt land title. Stay with us. We're coming right back. Thank you.
At Carter July.
It's so awesome! Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Come on, let's get on with the show!
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. We have relocated the Element Wealth Studio to Wally Properties in Ellisville, Mississippi, promoting economic development here in Jones County. The Jones County Economic Development Authority does a great job in bringing industry into this great county. We're pleased to welcome now Cassandra Inacio, attorney with the Pine Belt land title. Cassandra, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so tell us exactly what you guys do at Pine Belt land title. Where are you located, and who are your customers? What services do you provide?
Sure. Well, we are a title company and also a law office, so we help people buy, sell, and protect property. And our offices are in Ellisville, New Augusta, Meridian, Waynesboro, Wiggins, Lucedale. And our new offices will be located in Philadelphia and Laurel, Mississippi. So we're proud to serve those areas.
I see. So do you work with Wally Properties here?
Sometimes we do, yes. We work with realtors, lenders, and then individuals that come into the office needing help with deed preparation or closings, anything really real estate related.
Anything unusual that you've come across in your career and working with customers on, again, securing, protecting property through titles that folks would be kind of surprised to find that you ran across?
Sure, there's probably too many to name in here. But,
well, that's what your job is to
right.
find out all those little anomalies and nuances to make sure that your customer's in good shape.
That's right. And we find sometimes more often than you would think, maybe just either small issues, sometimes big issues that need to be cleared in order for us to have clear title to be able to sell the property. So that comes up from time to time. Sometimes maybe an error that was unknown and undisclosed that we didn't know of, and we kind of have to track them down. So there's a little bit of investigative work that goes into it. But yeah, maybe easements that weren't known of, things of that nature. So we just have to make sure that there's clear title so that we can transfer property.
You work with county government, county organization, where, is that right, for the most part, where that the land rolls are stored and maintained?
Right, yes. When we do the title search, we go into the deed of records. We do a thorough search back 32 years to check if there's any encumbrances, any liens, any judgments, any issues with the property itself. And then if there are, we help, fix them so that we can, again, at the closing table, have clear title to transfer.
Can most of that be done remotely, electronically, or do you often have to go to the clerk's office and search the land rolls manually?
More often than not, we have to go to the land rolls and
really?
look. Yep, more often than not. There are some counties and some pieces of it that might be online, but for the most part, we have to go down to the courthouse, do our digging, and then come back to the office and kind of get a good title opinion going and send it off to where it need be.
I got you. And then with respect to Jones County, are you seeing a lot of activity that has required your services here?
Absolutely. I think, too, once the spring and summer months hit, too, usually that's more of a hotter time within real estate. So we're seeing a lot of people come in, and we're very grateful for that and happy to serve the areas that we do serve.
I know the Wally folks here work for the most part in the commercial land business and, of course, in the timber consultant. We're in the Pine Belt here. A lot of this land's been around and been owned by families for a long time. Do you run into situations where maybe there have been some descendants that have gotten to the point they say, yeah, we'd like to monetize this asset, and then you guys have to get involved?
Absolutely. I think especially with rural Mississippi, when land is handed down from generation to generation, sometimes we do that privately, right, and we're not thinking of other heirs. So a lot of that happens where we have an heir maybe that should have gotten the property, might have an interest in it, and we have to have an heir, what's called an heirship affidavit, to clear that up if there is no will. So there's a little bit, like I said, back-end investigative work that has to be done in order to get that done, whether that's on the commercial side or the real estate side.
Cassandra, are the laws that apply to this area, are they fairly consistent from state to state, or do they differ?
Not necessarily. I think, too, when you're in states, like Mississippi that has a lot of land and moving a lot of land, the laws do differ. So you want to make sure when you're going through this process that you're just in the right hands and in an attorney's office that can help guide you through the process.
And can they vary from county to county?
Not necessarily county to county. I think every county has a little bit of its own quirks, but, for the most part, the intention is that Mississippi is uniform. But like I said, I think from county to county, there may be just some other inclinations that you have to consider.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever run across any property, any land where title is required to be cleared that has been around for a long time, that there's never been any movement on it, all of a sudden there's activity?
Absolutely, yeah, I think so. And then, like I said, a lot of this is family going from generation to generation. So it's in family, that's usually how it works, which is a great thing and something that Mississippi should be proud of, that we're, passing land on throughout the family. But in that instance, sometimes there is heirs that were maybe discounted or we didn't think of, or, some sort of issue with that. So we just need to make sure that we've got, before we pass along, that all of those things are cleared up.
Gotcha. Well, we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks
you
for having me.
Yeah. Cassandra Ignacio, attorney with Pine Belt Land Title, has been our guest here on Middays. That's a wrap here in Ellisville, Mississippi. We're going to bring the Element Well studio back to SuperTalk headquarters tomorrow. We hope you'll join us for that broadcast. Until then, stay safe and God bless everyone.
SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.